Hey guys, it's HypeTrain here, this time with another video on Tactics Ogre Reborn. Tactics Ogre Reborn is a challenging game with an insane amount of gameplay depth. It can be overwhelming for new players, especially when the game does not have that much tutorials that explain the gameplay mechanics. In this video, I have a collection of 12 tips for new players to help them with managing their units, what to do in battle, and many other aspects of the game. With that said, let's go on to the guide. My first tip is to get used to the character classes in the game. There are 18 classes for normal human units. Demi-human and monster units have their own unique classes. For example, Canopus belongs to the Vartan class. Some unique units like Denim will have their own unique classes. Later on in the game, Denim will be able to change to the Lord class, which is very powerful. So you want to know the classes and know their general role and their strengths and weaknesses. As an example, I'll go through my party and go over some of the most common classes you will see in the game. So my Denim right now is a warrior, and warriors are good frontline damage dealers. They are somewhat tanky, but not as tanky as knights. Berserkers are another powerful melee damage dealer that deals a lot of damage but is very squishy. Wizards and enchantresses cast high damage magic spells from a distance but are very fragile, so they belong in the back line. Rune fencers can use a sword and spear and can cast light magic, so they are very versatile frontline units. Clerics provide healing from the backlines and are also very fragile. Knights are very tanky and they don't do a lot of damage, but they're good at holding positions and can cast healing spells. Terror Knights are similar to Knights except that they have access to dark magic that debuffs enemy units. So one of the most powerful classes in the game are ninjas and archers. Ninjas are very versatile units that can cast a wide variety of spells to either damage enemies' units or buff your team. They are very versatile as they can do damage with their katanas as well. Archers are very good at long range damage, but they are also very squishy. I don't have any archers or ninjas in my army at the moment, but I plan on recruiting them later on. My second tip is to pay attention to each character's element. So each character has an element attached to them, and the element determines that character's strengths and weaknesses. For example, a fire character is going to be weak against water spells. You want to pay attention to elements for magic users specifically. For wizards and enchantresses, you want to equip spells that match their element so that they do more damage with their spells. For example, I equip my air wizard with air spells. I equip my air wizard with Deadshot 2 and Tornado. For healers, knights, and rune fencers, you want to try your best to convert their element to light. For terror knights, you want to make sure their element is dark. Once again, you can convert a unit's element by using charms. So this is the charms menu, and this is how you convert your unit's element. You get these charms by obtaining them in battle. My third tip is to make sure your units are equipped with all 4 items. So each unit can equip up to 4 consumable items that they can use in battle. And you definitely want to make sure you take advantage of this and make sure all your units are fully equipped. To make things simple, I equip most of my units with 4 mending seeds for healing. For example, my Berserker has 4 mending seeds. You can feel free to experiment equipping other consumable items such as debuff items. I do have some of my backline units like my wizard and my enchantress hold 2 blessing stones for reviving teammates and 2 mending seeds. I also equipped Canopus with blessing stones as well, as he's very mobile and can get to fallen teammates easily. My fourth tip is to make sure you have your weapon proficiency skill equipped in a skill slot for your DPS units. for most of your damage dealing units, such as your warriors, your archers, your rune fencers, your knights, you're going to want to equip the weapon proficiency skill of the weapon they're using. For example, I have Denim here as a warrior, and he's using a two-handed sword, the Balder Blade. So I equip the two-handed sword proficiency skill. So these skills increase the damage and accuracy of that unit when using that weapon, as well as unlocking finishing moves, which are the strongest attacks in the game. There are some exceptions, such as magic users who don't really use their weapons as much. You might want to equip other skills that help them with their magic. So for your wizards, your enchantresses, your clerics, and your priests, you don't want to equip the staff skill if you have better options. My fifth tip is to learn the best way to position your units. So the best way to position your army is to make a front line with your melee units. You want to make a front line and try to choke point and prevent the enemy units from being able to get to your back line. For example, I have a front line with all my melee units choke point this area here so that the enemy army has a hard time getting to my backline. So for your backline is going to be your magic users, your healers, and your archers. You want them to be just close enough to attack enemy units, but you don't want them to be too close to the enemy army as they are fragile. So you want to be very careful when moving these units and try to move them slowly and not too close to your front line. So the best positioning for backline units is to use hit and run tactics. For example, I'm going to do an attack with my wizard. I'm going to do this dead shot here. And I'm just going to move very far away so that the enemy army has a hard time attacking me in retaliation. So I'm going to move my rune fencer here and try to close off the area so that none of the enemy army can get to my backline. My sixth tip is to pick up the battle cards. You want to try your best to pick up battle cards when you can. They actually have a big impact on battles. So since it is Denim's turn right now, what I'm going to do is have him move here to pick up the crit chance card. So any unit that deals damage can pick up a crit chance card and have that card be useful. So I'm just going to do an attack. So there's also physical attack cards, like here. And basically you want your physical attack cards to go to mostly your melee damage dealers, but also archers as well. So there's also MP recharge cards, and you want your magic users such as your wizards, your enchantresses, your priests, your clerics to grab those since they give you more MP. So you want to try your best to grab these cards as much as possible. There are situations where you might not want to grab them in case they make your unit be in a very bad position. For example, you don't want your backline units like your magic users to be too forward, because then they will take a lot of damage from the enemy. You also want to pay attention to tarot cards that drop. Tarot cards are cards that kind of look like this, except that they have a green border around them. Those give permanent stat increases to the unit that grabs them. So you definitely want to grab those as much as possible. My seventh tip is to make sure you don't attack your own units. So when using a lot of range attacks, you can actually hit your own units if you're not careful. For example, I'm going to use my Canopus to try and cast Spirit Surge on this Berserker. As you can see, my Enchantress is in the way, so if I cast this spell, I'll actually hit my Enchantress. So you want to make sure you're very careful when you use range attacks, and you don't perform attacks that hit your own units. So I'm going to reposition my Canopus, have him move to a different position. So you can mitigate this by using higher ground. So by using higher ground, I get more range with my range attacks and have better line of sight. So as you can see, I can use Spare Surge and hit this enemy berserker without hitting my enchantress. My 8th tip is to use pincer attacks. For a lot of your melee units, you can equip the pincer attack skill on them. For example, my Denim, who's a warrior, has pincer attack 2, and my berserker has pincer attack 3. The pincer attack is a very powerful flanking skill that can do a lot of damage. So how a pincer attack works is that you sandwich an enemy unit with 2 of your own units, and you can do this by positioning 2 units, one in the front and back of an enemy unit. For example, I have this enemy knight sandwiched between Denim and one of my own knight units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack this enemy knight, and a pincer attack will activate from my own knight unit because he has the pincer attack skill equipped. So this is very powerful and can lead to a lot of damage, so be sure to equip the pincer skill on any melee units that is able to. So my 9th tip is that when one of your units die, you want to save your unit or use the chariot tarot. So when one of your unit dies, you have 3 turns to save that unit. Right now, I have a knight unit that has fallen, and I have 3 turns to save him. You can revive that unit with a blessing stone or a resurrection spell. You can also just win the whole battle before those 3 turns, and that unit will come back to your party. If a unit dies and you can't save that unit in 3 turns, you can also use the chariot tarot and just roll back to a previous turn to redo the battle. The chariot tarot can be useful so that you won't have to start the battle all over again from scratch. There might be situations where you might want to just load a previous save and redo the battle, but definitely check the chariot tarot first, as that can save you a lot of time. My 10th tip is to abuse Canopus. Canopus is one of the strongest units in the game. He's very mobile, can cast spells, can use a bow, and can use a melee weapon. He does insane amounts of damage. He can get to places that your other units have a hard time getting to since he can fly. He's very good for killing squishy backline enemy units and flanking. For example, I'm going to use Canopus to move here to this high ground. And then I'm going to use his bow to attack this squishy enemy archer unit here. As you can see, he's very mobile and he has an easy time dealing with doing damage to all the squishy backline enemy units. So definitely use Canopus as much as possible. Make sure you always have the best gear for him, as he's one of the key units in your army. You might also try recruiting other Vartans, the demi-human class that Canopus belongs to. They're just very useful in general since they're so mobile and versatile. My 11th tip is to train your unleveled units using training battle and auto battle AI. So when you buy units from the shop, they come at level 1, as you can see here. To level your new units, you go into training battle. Right now I don't have any level 1 units at the moment, but I will use this training battle to demonstrate how to use auto battle to level up your new units. So you definitely want to include your level 1 units into your party before you start the training battle. So the easiest and most efficient way to use these training battles to grind levels for your new units is to use the auto battle AI. So there are a variety of settings for the AI, and you want to use the correct setting for the correct unit type. For example, this cleric is a healer, so I'm going to use the Ardent Mender AI for that unit. Once again, since this is a healer unit, I'm going to use Ardent Mender. Since this is a wizard, I'm going to use Distant Striker. Since this is a Vartan, I'm going to use Distant Striker. Since this is an Enchantress, I'm going to use Distant Striker. Since this is a Rune Fencer, I'm going to use Fierce Attacker. So I think you get the idea right now. So let's just pretend that this knight unit is level 1. The setting you want to use is Distant Striker. And this setting will make it so that the level 1 unit is not going to be aggressive and engage the enemy that much. So that way it keeps that level 1 unit safe, and that level 1 unit will stay away from battle. So that's the fastest way to level up your level 1 units, and you want to keep doing this till your level 1 units get to max level using these training battles. So you just set the AI for all your units and let the AI do these battles for you. My 12th tip is to use training battles to recruit units. So to recruit units, you want to equip skills that will allow you to recruit enemy units. Different unit types have access to different skills that can recruit different types of enemy units. For example, my Rune Fencer has a skill called Recruit, which recruits a enemy human unit to my side. So to recruit a unit in battle, you have to damage that unit and get their HP low enough. Then you use your recruit skill on that unit to get that unit to join your side. So I'm going to try and recruit this enemy berserker, for example. And even if their HP is low enough, sometimes you miss the skill and the enemy doesn't join your side. So you have to keep doing it over and over again until you get a success and that enemy successfully joins your side. The best part with recruiting is that you will be able to get units of higher level than what you would get by buying them in shops, so that can reduce the time you spend leveling up that unit. So the best place for recruiting these units are the training battles, which are for the most part easy battles. And you can redo the battle if your recruit skill doesn't work and the enemy unit dies, or you can just use the chariot tarot. So there you have it, 12 tips for new players to help them in Tactics Ogre Reborn. I hope this guide was helpful. If you like this content, please click on the like and subscribe button. It helps out my channel and helps me put out more content such as this video. Once again, my name is Hype Train. I'm signing out, and I'll see you next time.